When was the last time you silenced your truth just to keep her smiling? When was the last time you swallowed your standards just to avoid a little tension? Those are the moments where your power leaked, and she felt it. Because women are intuitive. They know when strength is real, and they know when it's just fear wearing a polite mask. So how do you reclaim that power? You draw lines, not with volume, but with consistency. You make plans and you keep them. You protect your routines. You don't abandon your discipline just because she calls late. You don't skip the gym, cancel your schedule, or hit pause on your mission just to reply to a craving for attention. That's not cold. That's clear. And clarity is attractive, because most men don't have it. So when she sees that her emotional chaos doesn't disturb your internal order, when she realizes she can't pull you out of alignment, she feels something rare. Safety. Not the safety of submission, but the safety of structure, of presence, of calm. And in her mind, a story starts to write itself. He's not like the others. And that thought becomes a seed, a fixation, a new standard. She starts comparing, not because she's petty, but because she's realizing that most men are reactive. Most men shift with the wind. But you stand. You become the quiet voice she hears when she's with someone else. The one she remembers when other men try to impress her. Because you didn't have to try. You didn't sell yourself. You didn't chase her affection. You gave her something no one else did, a reason to rise. Will she push back? Of course. She'll test your patience. She'll challenge your silence. She'll question your standards. Not because she wants to break you, but because she needs to know they're real. And when she sees that they are, when you stay centered in the fire, when you don't trade your identity for her approval, something opens in her. She lowers her guard. Not because she's defeated, but because she's finally met a man she can trust with her full heart. And when a woman trusts your emotional strength, she gives more than her words. She gives you her loyalty, her softness, her depth. And you never had to raise your voice to earn it, only your standard. So if you want to be unforgettable, stop explaining. Stop trying to convince. Stop living to be accepted. Start choosing who gets access to you. Because the most attractive men in the world don't chase validation, they carry values. And women chase that energy like oxygen, not because it flatters them, but because it awakens something sacred inside them. She loves to feel uncertain. She won't admit it, not to her friends, not even to herself. But the feeling she secretly craves most is uncertainty, not chaos, not drama, but a quiet suspense that keeps her heart leaning in. She wants to wake up wondering where she stands, not because you're playing games, but because you live a life that doesn't orbit her. That mystery, one she can't fully touch, it pulls her deeper than words ever could. When a woman can't predict your next move, when she senses more to you than what you've shown her, emotions begin to root themselves in the unknown. Because that's where attraction grows, in tension and space, in the distance between what she feels and what she's still trying to understand. Certainty is comfortable, but comfort kills desire. The moment she feels like she's figured you out, the story ends. She stops reaching, she stops imagining, and eventually, she stops feeling. But when you let her wonder, when you pull back without disappearing, you create emotional gravity. The kind that lingers long after you leave the room. The kind that makes her check her phone at midnight just to see if your name appears. This isn't about manipulation. It's about motion. A man of presence doesn't reveal everything. Not because he's hiding, but because he respects the weight of each layer. You don't answer every message instantly. You don't explain every move. You speak less, but with more meaning. You give her just enough to be intrigued, but never enough to feel like she has you figured out. And in that gap, she feels something rare. Curiosity, engagement, emotional traction. Because the men she talks about with her friends aren't the ones who poured out their life story too soon. They're the ones who made her chase clarity. The ones who didn't offer themselves all at once. Not because they were arrogant, but because they were focused on something deeper than being liked. And this is where most men fail. They mistake vulnerability for oversharing, honesty for dumping, and then wonder why she pulls away after they opened up. But attraction isn't born from being fully seen. It's born from the feeling that there's still more to see. Uncertainty isn't distance, it's intention. It's the space where her curiosity lives and where her desire deepens. Most men confuse being available with being meaningful. They pour everything out too soon. They think telling her every feeling, every scar, every thought will make her feel close. But closeness without mystery feels flat, predictable, forgettable. You don't build a fire by dumping every log on at once. You build it slowly. One spark, one pause, one breath between the flames. So when she leans in and asks, "What are you thinking?" you don't need to hand her the whole blueprint of your soul. You give her a piece, a limb, not to hide but to invite. Let her reach. Let her guess. Let her mind do the work of stitching your silence into meaning. Because that process of trying to understand you, to decode your rhythm, it awakens something primal in her. Now she's invested. Now she's emotionally participating. Not because you chased her, but because you left space for her to come closer. And once she's leaning in, once she's imagining what you might be feeling, you've done something powerful. You've pulled her into your emotional orbit without ever lifting a finger. Because emotions don't attach to fairness, they attach to effort. We value what we reach for, not what's handed to us. So when you break the pattern of always texting, first, when you let a day breathe after a good date before you follow up, you're not being distant. You're being deliberate. You're showing her that your attention isn't a reflex, it's a decision. And that decision, when it comes, lands with weight. It feels like a reward, a signal that she's earned another page in your story. And that's what keeps her coming back, not knowing what page is next. Because you're not giving her a conclusion. You're giving her a novel that unfolds slowly. This is what most men miss. They turn themselves into open books, hoping she'll admire the honesty. But she doesn't want a book with every answer written on the first page. She wants a story, with turns, with weight, with breath. She wants to discover you over time, not because you're cold, but because you're real. Because you're not living to be liked. You're living with purpose. And that purpose creates a frame. A life that moves forward with or without her. Not to push her away, but to invite her into something bigger than approval. That's why you don't rush in. That's why you don't explain every decision. Because not everything you do is for her. Some of it is for your peace. Some of it is for your mission. Some of it is just for you. And when she realizes she's not the center of your world, but a guest in it, someone who has to earn a deeper place, her attraction intensifies. She leans in, because she's dealing with a man who won't dissolve into her desires. A man who doesn't need her moods to validate his meaning. That kind of man is rare, and rare is irresistible. Now pause. Look back. How many times did a woman lose interest after you became too predictable? After you became the yes man? The available anytime guy? The one who gave affection without invitation? The truth is, you gave her emotional closure too soon. And closure is the end of the story. But suspense, that's what makes her heart beat faster. That's what lives in her imagination. She doesn't want reruns. She wants something that unfolds in real time. And your job is to be that unfolding, to keep growing, to keep becoming, to be a man she can't fully define. Not because you're unclear, but because you're alive. You're evolving, you're moving. You're not waiting for her reaction to take shape, you're shaping your own path. So how do you live this practically? You detach, not from care, but from need. You care about her, but you don't need her to fill your identity. You enjoy her presence, but you don't panic in her absence. And when she notices that you didn't check in for a day, that you didn't respond, right away, that wondering she feels. It's not stress, it's anticipation. And anticipation is where intimacy begins. It's the breath before the kiss, the pause before the music drops, the space where emotion builds. You don't have to impress her. You just have to leave room for her to feel something she can't control. That's the art. Not playing games, but moving with intention, living with layers, becoming the man she wants to explore, not the one she already knows. And when you let her wonder, you give her the one thing most men are too afraid to offer, a reason to stay, the feeling of earned reward. You ever wonder why giving her everything doesn't work? You show up, you stay consistent, you text her, good morning, good night. You compliment her every chance you get. And somehow, instead of pulling her closer, she pulls away. Here's why. People don't value what's free. Not in business, not in friendships, not in love, and especially not in relationships where a man gives himself away without requiring anything in return. When a woman doesn't have to work for your time, your approval, or your commitment, it feels less like love and more like charity. She might appreciate it in the beginning. She might even enjoy it. But deep down, she doesn't feel like she's part of something meaningful. Because meaning is born for no